Rex Heuermann, yesterday, he admitted to strangling 8 women and dumping their bodies in various parts of Long Island. But aside from that, I mean, so many questions still remain. He admitted to that, but it's not like he had to answer for anything else. It's not like he had to share his motive or anything like that. And a lot of that was going to be fleshed out in trial, or at least that's what a lot of people hoped, is that we would get a lot more answers in trial. What do you think of that? What is the biggest question you still have? What did you want to get out of in trial?
I mean, that's a great point. There was so much information that we were hoping to get. How did he do it? Why did he do it? The manner. But, listen, it doesn't really matter what we want, it's what the families want. But it was going to help investigators find other victims. So that was really one tragedy of not having the trial, is that we're now back to square one. The district attorney said he believes that there are other bodies on Ocean Parkway, and he hopes that he can solve those cases. He also said it doesn't matter what I think about whether they're victims of Rex Heuermann, it means what I can prove. So he's saying there's other bodies, he's saying there's other victims, he's saying that other victims of Rex Heuermann. So we're going to have to go in and we're going to have to start digging in all over again to find the evidence to bring those cases to justice.
From that perspective, do you think that the story of LISK, the Long Island serial killer, do you think that is over right now, A? And B, part of his plea deal, he has to sit down with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. What do you think can be learned from there?
Two really interesting points. Let's take the first. Is the story over? The tragedy would be people thinking the story is over, but it's not. All we did was get the most basic information. Yes, he picked up this individual, these tragic, innocent victims on a certain day. He brought them back to his house. He strangled them and he deposited their bodies. But there's so much more we need to know. And the other question is, why would he actually confess? You would think, with the amount of information, with the way that the court system is, that he would just roll the dice. And there's a lot of corruption in Suffolk County that prevented him from being caught in the first place. That there would be so much corruption and so much issues with regards to this case. He could roll the dice. All it takes is one. And all it takes is one jury member, to be not convinced that there could be other people. Why didn't he just roll the dice? And that's our first question. And maybe it has to do with, yeah, he admitted to these victims, and he even admitted to another victim that he hadn't been charged with. But was that a plan? Did he do that on purpose? We think maybe he didn't want to admit or be charged for another victim, victim known as Asian Doe, who is identifies as male but transsexual Asian individual who was found on Ocean Parkway, these same kind of burial grounds. We know from his Google searches that he had searched for transsexual escorts. Maybe he did not want to be charged for that crime. Maybe he did not want that information coming out. Maybe he didn't want the world to know as he's going into jail that he was frequenting transsexual escorts because he wanted to protect his reputation. He thought that that would be a negative on him, him being very machismo and a man. Maybe that wouldn't be good going into prison, that he frequented transsexual escorts. So that's one reason why he may have pled. Another one, look, there is a toddler, a baby, who was also found on Ocean Parkway. Now, that toddler belongs to a victim who we colloquially known as Peaches. Interestingly enough, the Nassau County Police Department has actually indicted another individual. We always thought Rex Heuermann was responsible for that. So maybe he didn't want this information coming out that he might be responsible for this other victim because she tragically had brought a baby with her to maybe one of these car dates, and he killed the baby. Rex would not like to be going into prison with the idea that he's a baby killer, even worse. So there could have been a reason he was protecting himself, protecting the story from what would happen when he got to prison. So that could be one reason why he did this. So there's those questions. There's other victims maybe not on Ocean Parkway where he deposited the rest of these victims, but other victims in Long Island that we believe he is connected to. That was never brought up. And there could be other victims around the United States. He had property in Las Vegas, things like that. So the story is not over because we need to identify and bring closure and justice to these other victims. You had also mentioned one interesting thing that came up within it. First and foremost, it wasn't a plea deal. He had changed his plea, right? So there was technically nothing negotiated on the table. But one condition of him pleading guilty was that he would agree to be interviewed by the FBI, this being the Behavioral Analysis Unit of the FBI, the BAU, Behavioral Sciences Unit. So this is like the Mindhunter unit of the FBI. This is like full Hannibal Lecter, Clarice Starling type of thing going down. So, was that maybe Rex in his ego, would love to be able to tell them all the things that he did and how he got away with it. But it was interesting that they mentioned that this was a condition, and I think it just goes to show how unique Rex is as a sexual sadist. He doesn't get off on having sex with his victims; he gets off on torturing them, and how these individuals are formed. It also goes to show maybe that what we're seeing here is, Rex tragically, and I hate to give them this superstar status because that's not something that we want to do with serial murders, but he does belong in this pantheon of serial murder. You're talking about Rex Heuermann as this really interesting connection between the golden age of serial murder, in the 70s and 80s, the Gary Ridgways, the Ted Bundys, and the serial murder of today. Rex Heuermann, technology based a little bit, and how that's changed. And so it does tell us something. It is an interesting aside.